Keegan Cook. Keegan, always great to see you. I'm guessing that things feel a lot different heading into year two for so many reasons than heading into year one, including at home, a 2-month-old. How crazy has your summer been?
Yeah, it's been a full and short summer, full of love and fun and low on sleep, I'd say, but enjoying it a lot.
And also, obviously, getting ready for another new. Last year was new for you after the move from Washington. Now Washington and 3 other schools joining the league. So what were your first thoughts about an 18-team conference, what the schedule would look like, how it affects your non-conference, and the general picture being so much different in year two in Minneapolis?
I was excited for everyone involved. You know, it was something that I'd hoped for in my time at Washington, that they would get the opportunity to join this conference. And so when it finally happened, I was celebrating for them. It's great for the big. It's great for volleyball nationally to have those 4 programs join us. And it's great for Minnesota. I'm excited to share these venues with our athletes and with our fans and watch where this thing goes.
You do have such a unique perspective. There's been a lot of folks talking about when they watched Pac-12 volleyball, when they watch Big Ten volleyball, to the television eye, it looked a little different. You coached it. You were there on the sidelines. You did the same with Minnesota last year. So is that more of something of a myth, or is that an actual truth?
I think the pace of the schedule is what caught me off guard just in the Big Ten. It's day after day. You're moving pretty quick, and that'll just get more intense here now, having to travel out west. But for the fans, it's a huge win. For the players, it's a win. These communities are going to love meeting each other and competing against each other.
Do you try not to envision what a run through this league will feel like when you're done at the end of November and hopefully playing into the NCAA tournament?
If you're doing this right, you're probably living 3 days at a time, right? Is it a practice day, a travel day, a match day? And it's a nice narrow focus, right? I get to be in the 2 most important spaces right now, in the gym with my team, at home with my family. There's not much room for anything else, and I'm enjoying that.
What's this like for you and your players? I understand before coming here into the studio, the one stop was the TikTok stop, and I know Brad Keller was telling me his players were trying to get him in the TikTok and he was refusing. Where do you stand on joining in the TikTok video?
Yeah, you couldn't find me in the building probably. I was hiding somewhere. I'm sure our players did a wonderful job, and our SID probably stood in for me and took the shot. But yeah, that's not my expertise. I'll leave that to the athletes.
That's what the head coach gets to do, right? One of the few decisions that you can make completely unilaterally.
Yeah, hire well. That's what you got to do.
Let's talk about some of the players that you brought here. Lydia Grote is here as one of your player reps. She was all Big Ten second team a year ago. She had 15 matches with at least 10 kills. Such a solid offensive player. But she also had 3 with at least 10 digs, and she also had 33 service aces. So you're talking about a really well-rounded player. Lydia is that. What's most impressive about her skill set?
You can put her anywhere on the court, really, and then she's going to score for you. She can hit along the net. I think what's impressed me this spring is just how well-rounded she's become as a 6th rotation player. Her passion to be great at every skill shows up every single day. And so, yeah, we've challenged her a lot this spring. I think she's answered that challenge, and I'm excited to see her in a few days.
As we got to watch some of her highlights there, how does a player that is already at that caliber continue to get better year after year?
Yeah, I think you're always trying to push the ceiling of who they are. You know, for Lydia, that's scoring the ball, particularly out of system. And then also having just a little more consistency. You talked about nights where she would have 10-plus kills. We think she can do that almost every night. And I think when players start to show up the same way every night is when it gets really fun.
I love watching Mckenna Wucherer and her swing. She just seems so physically imposing when she comes down and gets the ball exactly where she wants it. How much room for growth is there still in her game?
Yeah, we're not even close, you know, and we're halfway.
You know, that's a scary thought for other coaches.
Yeah, it's a scary thought, yeah, for everyone, I think. And it's motivating for her, motivating for me. This is a big year for her, and she knows it. I know it. We talk about it. I'm excited for her to be connected to her team, to be really composed in a big moment, and to be courageous like she always is, and take some big rips in the most important moments, and she's done the work.
She's certainly one of them, but how do you describe the outsides that you see night in and night out in this conference and the ability to score the ball?
Yeah, that's probably where the excellence shows up, right? Is when things are going poorly, can you make the right decisions? Can you be courageous? Can you be physical? And the Big Ten has it.
Keegan, we're going to take a closer look at your schedule coming up in just a little bit, but I looked quickly at the non-con, and obviously Stanford and Texas jump out. Baylor is also there. There certainly could be a reason for coaches to schedule easier now in the non-con. You obviously do not have that philosophy. Why?
Yeah, I think we have more balance than we had last year. Last year, I think we learned a lot. We went through another grueling non-conference. Doesn't give a lot of room for recovery, doesn't leave a lot of room for development. So I think you'll see more balance. You'll still see some very high-end matches in our conference, but also some opportunities for us to teach and coach within competition. And so I think this is a little bit more of a mature schedule for our group, and it fits them pretty well.
Brad Keller told me something really interesting. He said, coaches right now are not thinking about the 500 rule and how it's going to affect NCAA tournament bids moving forward, they need to be thinking about it, because you have to be 500 if you're going to play a non-conference like this and then get into this league. It is so tough. What kind of conversations need to be had, whether it's more about the RPI than it just is a 500 record when it comes to NCAA tournament selection, to kind of make the playing field even and to make that tournament hosting the best 64 teams in the country?
Yeah, there's some work to be done in the format, and I was doing a lot of that work in years past with the AVCA, trying to move the needle a little bit. And I think the Big Ten is helping lead those conversations. I'm not in them anymore. I'm happy to be back on campus with my team, being a little more focused. But, you know, making the tournament is not the standard in Minnesota. Right. Playing the last weekend is. And so that's where my energy is right now.
One of the other things that coaches have to focus on is what's coming down the road and exactly what the revenue sharing looks like, how it affects budgets for non-revenue sports, how it affects every player that you're trying to recruit. I know you are, as you said, focused on the next 3 days or the first 3 matches, but it's a reality. So how do you deal with it as a coach with something that you know is coming, but you don't know exactly in what form it's coming?
Yeah, I made a big decision to go to a university that values volleyball at the highest level, in a conference that supports it at the highest level. All the things that happen on a lower level from that, I just take trust in who hired me and why they brought me here. And so, yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty, but put yourself with good people with good values, and the rest will take care of itself. And the rest is for you guys to discuss and have fun with. But I'm where I'm supposed to be, with who I'm supposed to be with, and I love coming to work every day.
I think you may be the first person to ever combine fun and conversations about revenue sharing and where it's going right now on this set. There's no question that one thing that has changed, and for the good, is the popularity of this sport. I would say probably over the last 5 to 10 years, maybe the biggest growth, along with women's basketball, that we've seen in any college sport in decades. What do you think are the biggest reasons, and how do we continue to keep that on the upward rise?
Yeah, collective effort is what I think. You know, in this day and age, there's such a celebration of just the individual and their own individual efforts. I think the Big Ten Conference has stayed committed together to make the sport great. I think the teams are doing a great job, the institutions. It takes more than just one person, and we're just beginning, and I hope everyone's ready for what's coming next.
I'm curious, in those AVCA meetings and when you're talking with other coaches, how much conversation is there about playing non-conference games like this, not just because of what it means to your team and to get your team ready, but because of what it means for the sport? Because there are a lot of other sports, you take football, these major schools will play one really good non-conference games and play 2 games in most occasions where they feel like they are big-time favorites. In volleyball, that doesn't happen. Is that a concerted effort amongst coaches and programs?
Yeah, it is. You know, and every head coach has to decide, am I going to do what's just best here, or am I going to do what's best for the sport and these athletes long term? But I've got a lot more coaching to do, and I get to work with a lot more athletes. I'm closer to the beginning of my career than the end, and so I'm trying not to make any short-term decisions, you know, and so yeah, our schedule reflects that.
What's the best part about your job on a daily basis?
Yeah, the growth of the young people. I mean, the way they surprise you, the way they change, the way they show up for each other. Probably the quickest answer I can give you. They are the best part. We've been in a people phase here now for 18 months. You know, we've added 12 players in 18 months. That's 1 every 6 weeks. You know, and we've gotten to really get connected to the athletes that were already here when we got here, and now we're ready to do some of the volleyball work.
Conversely, what's the toughest part of your job on a daily basis?
Besides your interview, no, I think.
Come on now.
Change is hard for everyone. Transition is the hardest thing we do. Transition, especially with people in our life, is the hardest thing we do. Our players just went through that. I went through that. There's a difference between coaching and managing. You know, last year was a lot of managing, and for the last, I'd say 6 months, it's been coaching. I'm a coach. I'm not a manager, and I'm really thrilled to be working with who I'm working with.
What do you think about when you think about the other coaches in this league, and you think about the success and the long-term success of guys like John Cook and Dave Shondell,
Yeah.
so many others.
Yeah, just the power of compound interest, of stacking good days, of hiring good people, recruiting good players. There's nothing special about a good day, but you have a lot of good days in a row and you have a pretty great life. They've learned that, they've lived that, and we're in that process right now.
Have you, in your career, tried to model it after anyone?
I've had lots of mentors, but I think the best mentors told me that you have to be authentic and sincere to yourself, and that's hard to do, especially when you've worked with great people. You can find yourself sounding like some of your former bosses, but the longer I do this, the more I stay authentic and sincere to who I am.
And that means that you have a better understanding, right, of what you want your culture to be each and every day in your team room. If I were to ask your players, and maybe Elena and Holly will ask them, what exactly are you asking them to understand and embrace as your culture?
Ooh, that's good. I almost would want to let you ask that, and then I'll stand on the side and hear what they have to say. But we came back.
You don't have to go anywhere when they start the interview. You can stay right here.
Yeah, we came back in January, and after the break, and I asked them. I said, "What are some of our program values?" And a little surprisingly, they had all of them named by the end of that meeting without any kind of help from me, and it was a sign that okay, we've moved the needle a little bit, and they're ready now for more. And so that was a big moment on that first day back.
How close did that make you feel to this team being a team that's ready to be a player-led program more than a coach-led program? Because most coaches will tell you those are the teams that can win national championships.
Yeah. Good teams have good coaches. Great teams have great leaders. Women lead women is what I kind of always tell our athletes, and they've been in that process this summer. We're about to make it a little more official here as we join together, but I know they're doing the work. I'm getting the phone calls unsolicited from the athletes. They're asking the questions they should be asking about leadership and values, and so all things are pointing in the right direction.
Let's finish here. I know you said that just making the NCAA tournament is never the standard in Minneapolis. The standard is a deep run. So when 2024 is all said and done, in your estimation, what will make this year successful?
Yeah, I'd like to see a connected group on that second weekend, and from there anything can happen. If you're in that second weekend of the tournament and you're connected to what you're doing and who you're doing it with, there's no limit to what you can do. You can find yourself playing that last weekend. I know that, and I know this group can do it.
Well, that's the second weekend of the NCAA tournament that Keegan's talking about. I think we'll know something about your team after the first weekend of the regular season. Keegan Cook, always great to catch up. Wish you and the Gophers the best of luck in 2024. But don't just trust me. We can show you actual pictures because that first weekend includes Stanford and Texas. Yes, back-to-back. That's when you know you are off to a start that will show you a lot about what your team is capable of in 2024. And then you get to dive into the Big Ten schedule. No, it does not get any easier all the way through the end of the year. Late in the season, a road trip to Lincoln on November the 14th. All right, Keegan told us a little bit about Lydia and Mckenna. For more, back to Elena and Holly.
Thank you so much, Rick. Holly and I are joined this time by Minnesota student athletes Lydia Grote and Mckenna Wucherer. Lydia and Mckenna, we're so excited to have you here today. Welcome to Big Ten Media Days. What has been your favorite part so far of the day? We know you've been to a couple stations. This one will probably be your favorite after, but so far, what's been your best station?
I think really just seeing all of the athletes and talking to the coaches and seeing everyone's perspective has been really cool. But I think the TikTok station was pretty fun.
Honestly, it's just an amazing opportunity to be here, and it's just so cool to see what the Big Ten has in store for these volleyball athletes and amazing people as well. But I would say my favorite station is Lydia's at the net.
Ooh, can't wait to see it. Lydia, you had some, I guess, prior knowledge of what Keegan Cook was like as a coach because your sister played for him at Washington. What did she tell you that made you want to come play for him at Minnesota?
She told me that he's a coach who cares so much about his players and he cares about our well-being just as much as he cares about us on the court. And that was something I was really, really looking for when I was making the transfer change and just seeing how much he puts into us and then really just with us every day and talking to us constantly. It's really awesome.
Mckenna, your coach talked about you guys being in the people phase the last 18 months. What does that look like, building your culture, and what did you learn?
Yeah, I said this earlier, but our team culture is the best it's ever been in the last 3 years. And I think this summer we've done a really good job of connecting a lot more off the court, and that really transfers on the court. But we're really focusing on the people we have here and the athletes we have. And our level of play has elevated so much. Our summer open gyms have been insane, whether who it is on the court. It's been incredible to be a part of.
Who are your vocal leaders in the gym on those summer courts?
I think Lydia is one of them. She's more of a kind of quiet leader, but she'll be in your face when you get a good kill. Like, she's honestly one of the, I kind of call her the Energizer Bunny. Like, if you get a good kill, like she's going to be celebrating for you. But I think Lydia is a very well-spoken and more reserved leader, and I think that is really beneficial for our team.
Lydia, we saw you break out onto the scene last year in this conference. It was so fun to watch you, always stepping up and getting kills when your team needed it. What have you been focusing on this spring and summer? Any parts of your game that you're really trying to hone in on before this season?
Yeah, I think a big goal for this spring for me was just working on out-of-system attacking. And so I think I've definitely made improvements, but there's so much more to come with fall camp starting later this week. And then also just blocking. I've been working really hard on reading the game and seeing attackers well.
Mckenna, you led the team offensively, and we asked your coach how much more growth you have, and he said you're not even close to how good you can be. That's scary. What areas are you looking to improve in the gym?
I've worked on my receive game a lot. Like Keegan will probably tell you that when I first came here, I was like very shy and reserved in that aspect, and we do passing school every single day. And I could probably only receive 5 balls when I first got here, but now I'm staying in it for very long periods of times. I'll go in the gym to get extra reps. And defense just wins games, so you can stay on the court for all 6 rotations if you can do all the skills. So I've really been working on my receive and my defense. And then on offense, just working on mixing in shots. I know I'm a very big power hitter, so just working on those off speeds.
This Minnesota program obviously has some key returners, you two included, but you have some new faces. And we heard your coach talk a little bit about kind of what you're working on with your culture. So we're going to put you on the spot now. When you guys came into that meeting and you talked about your culture, what is Minnesota's volleyball's culture?
I think we talk about our values. We talk a lot about people values volleyball. The first 2 come before the volleyball. In order to play a good volleyball game, we have to have the people and the values all aligned. So we've been working on that and just staying together. And then I think we got some new additions to the program, which are fun and loud and just almost like a refresher and new change, and just kind of got us all on our toes a little bit.
Yeah, I would say culture wins games. I mean, like, I think just having a really good atmosphere on the court is obviously going to translate on the court, and how we perform off the court and get along off the court is going to convey on the court. So I think just being able to sit down and have a conversation with someone. I know Lydia and I grab coffee every single week, and I think those like little interactions off the court really help us on the court.
I know Keegan Cook from his days at Washington, he puts a lot of focus on serving. How much more time are you serving in the gym than you did in previous years?
Every single day. Every single day, that's where we warm up.
I agree. It's our warm-up. We spend 20 minutes just serving, and then we go into serve and pass, and it's so key in all of our games that we play, and we work a lot on it.
We had some new schools joining the conference this year, of course, which we're super excited about. This conference is just going to get better, as you guys know. No night is ever an easy night in the Big Ten. But with these new 4 schools, are any of them you most excited to play against, play at? Just give me some insight when you found out those 4 teams were joining the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to play at the LA schools. I'm an LA native, so I get to see my friends and my family, and I grew up attending matches there, so just sort of getting to play there feels almost like a home court. So home away from home here at Minnesota.
I was so excited to see all 4 of them join. I mean, obviously, every single year they're national championship contenders and Pac-12 championship contenders. So just having them in the Big Ten, obviously you said there's no nights off, and we really can't obviously sit back on our toes and like, oh, this is going to be an easy match, because every team's coming for us.
A common theme that we've heard is the difference between the West Coast schools. You played in the Pac-12 and the Big Ten. Can you describe that difference, because you've seen and played both?
Yeah, so I would say the West Coast schools are a lot more focused on shots and different skills and techniques and things. And then I would say the Big Ten is a lot more power, a lot more hard hitters and just high energy and everything. So the difference is pretty stark, but it's exciting to see new teams joining and see how it will change the conference play.
What was the biggest adjustment you had to make going from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten?
Oh gosh. I think just, every single night is a toss-up. In the Pac-12, we had our teams and every team was fighting for a chance to win, but in the Big Ten, it's every single game. You don't know who's going to win, and I love that level of competition.
We love getting to know you guys as volleyball players, but also people. That's the best part of playing the sport, is getting to be friends with your teammates. Can you let us know a little bit, what do you guys do off the court? What does your team look like just as people off the court, personality-wise?
So, we do a lot of things off the court together. We've gone to concerts, we go to all sorts of outdoor events. We love playing beach volleyball together. It's just sort of outside, it's a change, but it's still fun. We spend time with each other, and we do sort of a lot of things outside the court. So,
yeah, like birthday dinners, going to Twins games. What else do we do?
I mean,
We grab
I've taken people
coffee.
hiking. I like to
Yeah,
get people out of the
hiking.
house, so things like that.
I love that you guys play beach volleyball. Where do you play beach volleyball in Minnesota?
Well, we used to have courts on campus,
Okay.
but we don't have those anymore because they're building a new gymnastics facility, which we love. The gymnastics team deserves their facility.
Yeah.
But there are some parks and stuff where you can reserve courts, and we love doing that.
And who's the best?
I don't think we have the best because we don't have a beach team.
Well, no, I know, but from indoor to beach, there's no
I'd say
play-
we're all pretty good. We're
Yeah.
really scrappy.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like that.
Are we going to see that scrappiness on the court this season?
Oh,
What is-
100%.
What can fans expect to see when they turn on the TV and they're watching Minnesota volleyball or they're coming into the gym? What can fans expect to see this year?
I'm going to say a lot of grit. Like, we're not going to ever be counted out. We're going to go for every single ball. We're going to communicate a lot. We've been really working on that this spring. It's just the level of communication we have with each other on the court. And that's going to help in the end when we make it to the final national championship run. And that last week, that's our goal.
Yeah. We're pushing each other all the time in open gyms, even without coaches there. We're talking about how much louder can we be, how much harder can we work. And I think we're going to see it a lot this fall. We're not going to be losing rallies because we're letting the ball drop. It's going to be off of good swings from the other team, tools off the block and things.
In the Big Ten, now with the 4 new programs, is there any venue you're looking forward to playing in outside of yours?
I think the Galen Center at USC is pretty cool. It's such an iconic arena. So getting to play there again one last time would be really cool.
I also said USC earlier in the day. I just think like the court is very bright, and then like seeing like the stands and how it's like a little dimmer in the stands, and like the court is just right in the middle and it's shining, lights are shining. And also just playing in California I think is really cool. They have always bring a lot of fans, and just that whole atmosphere I'm super excited for.
Okay, one final question for the both of you. I would love to hear just your favorite thing about being a Minnesota student athlete, whether it's academic-wise, on the court, being with your teammates. What makes you love being a Gopher?
Oh gosh, there are so many things. It's so hard to pick, but I would say just that there's so much community behind all of our sports teams. You know, I can be out at dinner and people know like, oh, you're on the volleyball team, and they know how hard we work, and they say you guys are just an inspiration to like little kids, and seeing club teams and everything. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've been committed here since 8th grade, and I'm stuck to that ever since, and I'm so happy I did. Just the family atmosphere is something that is unmatched, and obviously volleyball is going to end one day, and you have to be able to manage yourself as a person as well, and our coaching staff does a really good job of developing us as people and not athletes, so I'm really blessed to have that.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time today. We can't wait to watch you play this season. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of Big Ten Media Days. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Guys.
Back to you, Rick.